Despite greatly enjoying games that take their time to establish and eventually finish off a story, I don't play them as often as I would like. It's because of how long it can take me to beat them, and in general, the more games I review, the better off I'll be. Or at least that's what I like to believe. Either way, when I got an email asking me if I was interested in reviewing the Exit 8 and that it was short, I jumped right on it. I assumed that it would be around 2 hours long, but I ended up taking much longer than that. The Exit 8 is straight to the point from the beginning, and it continues to be that way for the rest of its duration. It's a very meat and potatoes kind of game. If you're the kind of person that wants games to go out of their way to amaze you by their flashiness or other appealing aspects, this isn't the game for you. In that same email, I found out that the Exit 8 is a horror game, and it didn't take long for me to discover that. If someone were to ask me what word comes to mind when I think of the Exit 8, I would say creepy. It's because it's a very creepy game. It's a minimalist kind of creepy, but it's also very effective. The game starts off by placing you in front of a board with a handful of simple rules. Though they're simple, over time you realize that the game is more than that. Not having much experience with this subgenre of horror, I moved ahead expecting to stumble into something that would work to showcase how much progress I made. Within 10 minutes, I got the overall idea of what the Exit 8 was about and what it wanted to accomplish. That left me thinking that it's influenced by PT, but since I haven't played it and have only seen and heard of it, I can't fully compare them. The word simple may turn some people away from this game, or whatever form of entertainment they may or may not engage with. Though that's the case for some people, the truth is that it's hard to be able to convey whatever you're attempting to get across in a simple way. It's like how some people say that George Miller's Fury Road is a movie about nothing, or that it's one long chase scene. That's an oversimplification and undermining of what Fury Road / George Miller are able to accomplish. The point isn't to put the Exit 8 on the same level as George Miller and his films, but to say that while being minimalist, it's very effective. There are some specific examples of anomalies that stood out to me. Pretty much all of the Exit 8 involves you walking through train station tunnels attempting to find the right exit. That sounds pretty simple, but what makes that stand out are the otherworldly events that occur and how they lead to creating a great sense of fear and discomfort. For example, you could be walking through the hall that you've seen X number of times, but before you know it, a door is slightly open, and there's a creepy figure smiling at you on the other side. A less subtle moment was when I was making my way through this endless hallway only to be met with an ocean of blood coming for me, much like in The Shining. What's great about the Exit 8 is that it uses familiarity against you in more ways than one. It's because things change in ways that you don't expect. Doors could suddenly change sides, a commuter you see more than once suddenly starts to walk faster right at you, or he'll even increase / decrease in size. As a result of this, the Exit 8 shows itself to be a very, very dense game. My response was to try to really pay attention, but that was easier said than done. I'm not sure if this was intentional or not, but as a result of allowing me to run alongside being able to walk, I would regularly run in order to try to progress as quickly as I could. The drawback to this was that I would end up missing out on anomalies that were so small that I would notice them once it was too late, or I never became aware of them. That'll eventually tie into something that I did later on. As cliche as a saying as it is, slow and steady wins the race came to mind as I was playing through the Exit 8. It's because I was able to see just how detail-oriented it was. I eventually started to see that things changed in ways that I didn't expect at all. The Exit 8 got me comfortable with expecting specific kind of anomalies, so when I started to notice things like an irregular pattern on the floor or slanted fluorescent lights, I took that as a sign that I needed to be more attentive. What I'm getting at is that the Exit 8 is a very psychological kind of game. Not only that, the dev of this game really gets horror / fear. There are some staples when it comes to creating a sense of fear or dread in a game, such as gore or jump scares, but for me, what really gets to me is when it's from outside of the box. The fact that I brought up PT as a potential influence for the Exit 8 may lead some to believe that it's not as outside of the box as it make it out to be, but I still think of it in such a way. There was more to the Exit 8's kind of horror besides the anomalies that would end up sneaking up on you, such as when I turned a corner only to be met with twins standing firmly in the middle of the hall. It delivered, at least from my experience, fear outside of the game because of not wanting to lose the progress I'd made. It was easy to tell when you were heading in the right direction since you started at 0, and the point was to reach the 8th exit. Whenever you missed out on an anomaly and didn't go back the way you came, the game will reset and force you to start from 0. I admit that did a hell of a job accomplishing what it set out to do, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't frustrating. It's because there were more times than I can recall when I would hit number 5, think I was close to beating the game, only to end up missing something and having to start from scratch. This leads me to the idea that the Exit 8 is a short game. In the hands of an experienced player, it could be beaten very quickly, but that's really only because they would know what they were doing. It took me longer than I would have liked because I was learning how to play the hard way. It got to the point where I started to get really frustrated and bored looking for small details that might not have even been there. It's because all the anomalies weren't immediately noticeable. It may not be entirely true, but I feel that luck has a lot to do with whether or not you'll be successful while playing this game. Chances are that there's a method to this game's madness that's more like what allows you to have good runs in roguelite/like games. As a result of me getting bored and frustrated with the Exit 8, I started to look for hints online. I eventually found out that once an anomaly was overcome, it wouldn't appear again. I wish I had known this much sooner because I would have saved myself a lot of time and frustration. With the amount of time that I invested into the Exit 8, I had no idea how many anomalies I'd unknowingly encountered, so I decided to delete my save file. That ended up helping me because it was easier to notice new/different anomalies and keep track of them. Some may view that as cheating, but at the end of the day, it helped me beat the game by more or less using its system against itself. I feel like I haven't fully explained what the Exit 8 has to offer. If anything, that's a good thing because if you're interested in giving it a try, you'll be able to do so almost fully blind. The point of my reviews/first impressions isn't to give a 100% play-by-play of a game. There are usually specific things that stand out to me, and I'll discuss whether or not I enjoyed them. With the Exit 8, the less you know, the better off you'll be. It's probably too late for me to be sharing that, seeing as how I'm nearing the end of this review. At the same time, while going in almost/fully blind makes the horror/dread of the Exit 8 more effective, being aware of what I discussed could help you avoid frustration. It's possible that's just part of the experience and it goes hand in hand with the more conventional horror/dread that it has to offer. That could be true, but I still think that it went too far with some of the more incredibly subtle anomalies. Ultimately, I feel that the Exit 8 accomplished what it set out to do. Despite being a short game when compared to others, it still managed to deliver a big experience in a small package. I describe this kind of game and the horror/dread it invokes as the thinking man/woman's kind. If you're into that and high concept/low budget movies/games, the Exit 8 is for you. I think it could have been even better had it not included as many anomalies as it did, but my frustration could end up being your enjoyment. Seeing as how it's currently $3.99 on the Nintendo eShop, $2.99 on Steam, and it can be beaten in 1 to 5 hours, feel free to give it a try. How do you feel about games that are overly repetitive? What are your thoughts in regards to a less is more mentality being utilized? Are you a fan of psychological horror? If you enjoyed this content, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you very much for watching.